We're by a big pile of garbage because that's what we watched in Kroger Field tonight. I'm Nick Roush with Drew Frankel and Adam Luckett. This is rapid reactions to a top 25 loss to a bad South Carolina team. It was hot garbage right from the kickoff. I was brought right back to Jacksonville in 2016 when Steven Johnson got strip sack, first play of the game. Georgia Tech scoop and scored. Game was over. It's kind of a lot what happened tonight. You had a catastrophic mistake. Rich Scangarello called it the worst first play of his career. It all spiraled from there. The Kentucky defense held out some, and it's actually tied at half. It was a miracle it's tied at half, but Drew, it was just a big pile of crap.
Completely unacceptable loss. I was prepared for a loss, and maybe you just blame it on Levis. Quarterback situation didn't work out, but nobody showed up in this game. I thought the play calling was awful. Offense pretty much all the way around was awful. Even the defense had some uncharacteristic bad tackling throughout the game. It was just all system failure. I mean, we could do 30 minutes of complaining here, and maybe we will. We'll see.
Oh, yeah, we can go 30 minutes. You need us 30 minutes? Yeah. Luckett, you probably have 35 minutes worth of things.
Yeah, to me, the defense has been good this year, but the dam kind of broke today. They're banged up, missed some tackles. South Carolina got out on the edge. The story of the season right now is 3 SEC games. They have yet to score more than 19 points, offensive points, because they got the pick six in the swamp. They're not scoring points in these SEC games. They're not scoring points. Obviously, Kai Sharon's in today. His first career start. It's a tough spot for a young player. But they're not scoring points. They're loaded at receiver. They've got an NFL quarterback who's averaging 10 yards per attempt, top 10 in the country. They've got one of the most efficient running backs in the country, and they can't score the ball. But there's nothing really more to say other than that. You've got to put points on the board. If you can't score, you can't win. That's the name of the game. It's pretty simple. And until they start scoring points, they're not going to win any games. So, this is a huge moment for Rich Scangarello. We've played 6 games. 6 games. They haven't scored more than 31 offensive points in a game. What are we doing? Put the ball in the end zone. This is not the conversation we should be having right now. But it is a conversation. They've got to score. The offense has to get fixed. If it doesn't get fixed, they're going to have a lot more L's. Bottom line.
Yeah, a lot more L's. You're looking at a Mississippi State team that is cooking. They're cooking with gas right now. Meanwhile, Kentucky's cooking in the garbage can. And let's be honest here, it starts up front. Kentucky gave up 6 sacks. Now, 3 of them were garbage time sacks, but it was a lot of garbage time tonight. Here's if I'm going to put on my big picture hat, the problem with this team is that for the longest time, your identity was up front on the offensive line, and they don't have one. Right? You can't ignore it anymore. They're getting sacked more than any other team in all of college football. You can flip the switch. You can get more pass happy. You can get some awesome freshmen. You can get this great quarterback. But when stuff hits the fan, you got to be able to run the ball. You got to go back to old reliable. And there's no old reliable, Drew. No. There's no old reliable at all.
The big blue wall, or lack thereof, has been a complaint all year. And it was just, it's impossible for a first-time starter, first-time college football player to get going when he's running for his life. And it wasn't just the not blocking. Tayshawn Manning with back-to-back false starts at the beginning of the game. Just so many self-inflicted wounds today.
Let's list a few self-inflicted wounds, all right? You had a punt block.
Yep.
Did you know South Carolina can block punts? They only lead the nation in punts. Of course they blocked a punt. Oh, and then you had a third down, wide open, Kai Sharon just phew, 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 phew. And then it just, here's the ball, and it just goes sailing off his hands. You got to make that catch, Barryon Brown. And you already mentioned some of the procedure penalties, just so many mistakes. And then on top of that, when your defense blitzes, they just can't sack the quarterback. They made Spencer Rattler run around. They tackled him sometimes. They made him throw in a hurry, but they weren't ever able to get home. They created a few turnovers, but like you said, Luckett, the dam broke.
Bottom line, Chris Rodriguez was good in this game. They established the run. We can talk all we want. They're just not doing anything. I don't know what else to say. They have to be better.
Joaquin said, do it. We're not doing it.
Be better. It's ridiculous that we're having this conversation, but it is. So until it gets fixed, I don't know what to say. The offensive line is an issue. They've inherited a bad situation. I think we can all agree, and that's a problem. But you have to scheme around your deficiencies. That's just what it is. You've been around long enough. This is just a big week, I think, for Rich Scangarello. If you need Will Levis back, honestly. If you have Will Levis and Chris Rodriguez together, this is a different game, but you can't play that game. This is football.
Kai Sharon threw for more yards than Spencer Rattler. He wasn't the entire problem, right?
A lot of it happened in garbage time. Yeah. They really didn't. Let's be honest. He was hamstrung a little bit with Sharon. They obviously didn't trust him to really go and push the ball down the field. They were trying to play a controlled game. But this is just one game. This is more of long-lasting issue. They just can't put points on the board, and I don't know what else to say. It's got to be fixed. If it doesn't get fixed, like, you're going to lose a lot of games. I don't know.
No. Knowing they weren't going to put many points on the board, one of my big keys was to not let South Carolina get up early. Defense, you've been giving up touchdowns on first drives a couple times this year.
Yep.
I mean, when you're the defense and you're fired up, you're ready, and then they take over on the 2-yard line. I mean, wow.
Complimentary football. Even when they scored first possession this year, they got the ball down 7-0. First quarters have been awful. They have really been hanging their hat on being able to wear teams down, win in the third and fourth quarter. That was the opposite tonight. They got whooped in the third quarter.
Yep.
It's just really frustrating.
And now they're banged up too, even more so. We might get Levis back, right? Mark Stoops said after the game he can't make any promises or anything like that. It's a day-to-day situation. He hopes he's better by then.
We got a little mixed messaging on that because Levis on the broadcast said he's good and he'll be back next week. So they need to, maybe it's I haven't seen a moment and they just didn't talk yet.
Figure it out. But also Tavion Robinson went out early. Who else went out? Dane Key hurt his wrist. Barryon Brown was fine after the game. He'll be all right. But it just feels like, I mean, we should have had Yakety Sax playing at the end of this game because we got to say it too. I don't know if you can call it the worst loss because there's been games that they just didn't cover receivers and gave up game-winning touchdowns. But this is probably the most disappointing loss of the Mark Stoops era. You were a top 15 team. You were a top 10 team a week ago, and you were one penalty away from winning on the road, and then you go and you lay this stinker. Like the big dreams we had, the Atlantas, now all of a sudden it's well, the SEC does have a Vegas bowl time. Maybe we can go to Vegas this year.
Shane Bieber come here and wear his sunglasses.
Tweeting about climate.
Sunglasses.
You give him a touchdown. You almost give him more points off the block punt. You only give up really 17 points on extended drives. That needs to be enough to win the game. You cannot. It's just very frustrating. And this is a team you've kind of owned. This was kind of the series. Everything kind of breaks Kentucky's way. And you lose. And you not only lose, you lose in kind of, the stadium was demoralized.
They were doing Gamecock chants, and everybody, the players staying around hugging their families on Kentucky's field.
It was 24/7. There was maybe 6,000 people in the stadium, and 4,000 or maybe 3,000 or 4,000 were the Carolina fans.
I looked
Not
up
fun.
and was there's 7 minutes left in this football game? How is this happening? It was a nightmare. Our dreams have turned into nightmares, and not even Meek Mill can fix this. I'm going to need a lot of that Port Royal plants, though, from our friends in Henry County to help me out. But I don't think enough Port Royal plants can help me after this one. It's tough. We're down on our luck. Whew.
What is it? We didn't want 1 to become 2. Now we don't want 2 to become 3.
Oh,
then
God.
It starts getting real.
Well, and then you got to buy. You could go a month without winning a football game. That's what we're staring at, staring down the barrel.
Next week is huge. There is no getting around it. It is a huge game for a multitude of reasons. You can still realistically go 8-4, and you can still realistically get in the good bowl. You can win 9 games, finish the season in the top 25. It's not what everyone wanted, but it is solid progress. But to get there, you have to beat Mississippi State. There's just no getting around it. So you got to get 7 back. You got to figure some stuff out on offense, and you've got to regroup on defense after a very poor tackling night. Their backs are kind of against the wall right now. And so we heard Mark Stoops pretty much say his team didn't respond well to adversity tonight. Yep. And he said, no one's going to feel sorry for you right now. And so we're going to have to see how they bounce back. Huge moment next week at Kroger Field.
You also got to tell all the recruits here, just forget that game.
That is another
thing. A lot of big visitors here
tonight. That is another thing with all the recruits in attendance. One of the bigger recruiting weekends we've seen. I'm not going to say it's the biggest, but there was some real talent here. And that was an ugly, ugly, ugly performance tonight.
It was a disaster, and it's only getting worse.
Stupid sunglasses, man.
Stupid sunglasses. This was trash, garbage.
Put it there. Throw it away. I'm leaving.
Throw it away.
Bye.